So this will be a little bit different of a series than what I've done on this channel before. It is a Madden 5-year franchise rebuild challenge. I have 5 seasons to win a Super Bowl. We are starting from the current offseason after the Rams just won the Super Bowl. We are keeping Nick Sirianni as the head coach of the Eagles, and obviously if you couldn't tell from the title or the thumbnail, the Eagles are the first team I will be attempting this with. The way this series will work, it will be a 5-part series, with each part containing an entire offseason and that next full season. I will not be watching or playing any of the games, just straight up simulating. And before we get too far in, thanks to the way Madden simulates games, you have to have a good playbook if you want to win in simulation. You still have to build a good roster with these playbooks, but we're going with the Buccaneers offense and the Ravens defense. It doesn't make your team overpowered, but it gives you a chance. If you run with some of these playbooks in this game, you just can't build a good team. I am going to be using the auto-generated class that you get whenever you start at the Super Bowl, so I don't know if I continue this series past doing the Eagles exactly how I'm going to do it, because I think it gives you the same draft every time if you start from the same spot, which is dumb, but it's just the way EA runs things. There are a few players here that we will probably want to re-sign. The first one will be Jason Kelce. We're going to offer this 1-year, $12 million contract to Kelce and hope he comes back. I enjoyed playing for you, but I think I'm going to test out free agency. Shit. We are going to attempt to bring Boston Scott back on this cheap deal. He only wants about $3 million a year. Let's see if we can get him. And he's good with staying. I do have the problem here of I tried to pay Jason Kelce about $12 million. I could franchise tag him, or I could try to get him cheaper in free agency, but I think someone will end up paying him. So we are just going to franchise tag Jason Kelce. And Steven Nelson only wants a 1-year, $4 million contract, so we will offer that to him. And he's going to test free agency. We are going to let everyone else walk. The only 2 I am keeping is I franchise tag Jason Kelce, as you saw, and we signed Boston Scott. I tried to bring back Steven Nelson, but he didn't want that $4 million contract. Like I said, we are using an auto-generated draft class, but we have 3 first-round picks, so I want to see who they have us mock to take. At 15, a defensive end, 16, a wide receiver, and 19, another wide receiver. Interesting. A few notable names did retire. Andrew Whitworth retires after 16 years. Riley Reef retires after 10. Alex Mack retires after 13. Emmanuel Sanders retires. Who else? AJ Green, Ben Roethlisberger, Ryan Kerrigan, Gerald McCoy, who's from Oklahoma. Ryan Fitzpatrick finally retires. And I think that's going to be it. Nate Solder. And yeah, that seems to be about it. And Jason Peters. Before we jump into free agency, let's look at our depth chart. Starting at quarterback, we have Jalen Hurts. I will most likely be giving Hurts at least 1 season. The problem with a 5-year challenge is he's got 1 year to prove it, or else I've got to figure out something. At running back, we have Miles Sanders, an 82 overall. At wide receiver, we have Devontae Smith, Quez Watkins, Jalen Reagor. Definitely need to improve wide receiver. Tight end, we have Dallas Goedert. And past Goddard, we do not have a good backup. Left tackle is an 82 Jordan Mailata. Left guard is a 75 overall Landon Dickerson. Center is an 89 Jason Kelce. Right guard is apparently left tackle Andre Dillard. But Brandon Brooks did not retire. He's just injured, so he should be coming back. Right tackle is Lane Johnson, 88. Left end is Josh Sweat, who's a 79. He needs to be upped a little bit. Right end is also Josh Sweat. How are you starting? Okay, whatever. We need to get a defensive end is all I'm saying. Defensive tackle, Fletcher Cox and Javon Hargrave. Left outside linebacker, Patrick Johnson. We definitely need to improve linebacker. Middle linebacker, TJ Edwards. Right outside linebacker, Davion Taylor. And at corner, we have Darius Slay. And past that, we have Avonte Maddox. And then a bunch of kind of just bad. Free safety is Marcus Epps. Also need to improve that. And strong safety is Kayvon Wallace. Also need to improve that. Now jumping into free agency, which is going to be important because yes, we have 3 first-round picks. The problem is I will mostly be drafting blind, so I could miss on a few of them. But we have about $40 million in cap space here. And here at the top is Devontae Adams, who I would really want, but I feel like he's probably out of our price range. Teron Armstead, Stephon Gilmore, also probably out of our price range a little bit. He wants $20 million almost. He wants 17.7 for 1 year. Chris Godwin has no offers. We may throw an offer at him. Casey Hayward, Trent Brown. Okay, I think we can make a play at some of these guys to improve this team. And unlike real life, Christian Kirk is not getting 4 years, $84 million. I guess I also didn't notice that Brandon Graham is obviously still on the team. He's just injured. I completely forgot about that. So we still have a 79 overall Brandon Graham. I think I only entered into one bidding war, and that's for free safety Marcus Williams, who's an 84 overall, star dev trait, and only 25 years old. Then we have Dante Jackson, who is 26 and an 83 overall corner. Jabril Peppers, who's an 81 with a star and a scheme fit. DJ Chark, scheme fit 78 with the star dev trait. Keanu Neal, just to kind of fill that left outside linebacker role. Ogbanya Okoronkwo, or Obo, if you know him from Oklahoma. I don't know if the NFL even shortens his name to that, but either way, also offered him a contract. Shaq Lawson, right end. Lucas Patrick, a right guard to come in and back up Brandon Brooks. And then Tyler Eifert to back up Dallas Goedert. I thought about going for Godwin or Gallup here in free agency, but I think DJ Chark works out really well in most of the franchises I've done off recording, and he's currently on my team in my Texans franchise that I'm doing, and he's turned out really well. So I felt comfortable doing that. Simulating to the next week, it looks like we landed Marcus Williams, Dante Jackson, DJ Chark, Keanu Neal, Obo, and Lucas Patrick. The only two left negotiating are Jabril Peppers and Tyler Eifert. They both had pretty low point overalls. If I remember correctly, yeah, he's at 69 points and he's at 60. I think two of those guys that signed had points in the 50s, so I know they'll sign. I could have overlooked the fact that I was in a bidding war for Shaq Lawson, but it looks like he's the only one that rejected a contract offer from us. Also, Derek Barnett is leaving us and going to Minnesota. Let's see who's off the board. Devontae Adams is headed to Jacksonville. He tends to do that in I think most of the franchises. Teron Armstead's headed to Seattle. Stephon Gilmore's headed to Pittsburgh. Trent Brown is headed to the Ravens. Rashaan Evans to the Dolphins. And Jadeveon Clowney to the Colts. I still have about $7.5 million here to play with, so let's see if I can find any decent deals. The only person I've added is right end Frank Clark, who is a 75 overall scheme fit at right end. The new mock draft has us taking defensive back Carl Solomon, wide receiver Jarvis Quinn, and right guard Doug Blatchford. It looks like Houston has now entered the bidding war for Frank Clark, and I am not willing to pay what they are. So I take off Frank Clark and I add Mario Edwards Jr., who is a 72 overall scheme fit. Taking a look at the free agent recap, some unsigned people: Michael Gallup, Calais Campbell, who actually had an offer from Seattle but didn't take it, Antonio Brown, Kareem Jackson, Jason Verrett, Cordero Patterson, Robert Tonyan, Dante Hightower, Chris Harris, and Alexander Johnson. That's everyone who's at least an 80 overall left in free agency. We already saw this one. Devontae Adams is a Jaguar, but let's scroll down to Chris Godwin is going to the Chargers. So is their receiving core now Keenan Allen, Mike Williams, and Chris Godwin? Because that is God tier. Casey Hayward is a Bengal. Trent Brown we already knew. Devin McCourty is a Viking. Let's look at quarterbacks. Did any quarterbacks take a new job? Teddy Bridgewater is headed to the Steelers. Winston is headed to the Broncos. Colin Kaepernick is going to try to revive his career in Miami. Mariota is headed to the Washington football team, or the Washington Commanders as they are now known. Brissett is also headed there. Andy Dalton is also headed to Pittsburgh. Trubisky is going back to Buffalo. Foles is headed to the Colts. Drew Lock is headed to Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh just signed 3 quarterbacks. Tyler Huntley is a Bronco, and Josh Rosen is going to the Texans. Looking at our negotiations, Mario Edwards Jr. and Tyler Eifert both leave their contract offers on the table, so they will both be in free agency. And then we managed to land Jabril Peppers. So our secondary will now consist of Darius Slay, Marcus Williams, Dante Jackson, and Jabril Peppers. I am actually okay with that secondary. This mock draft will be the last one before the draft. I know it says mock draft 4 and 5 up here, but we don't get to see that. So this is mock draft number 3, which will be the final one. And we are mocked to take strong safety Joey Givens, wide receiver Demetrius McCoy, and wide receiver Darrell Leach. So I was dumb and didn't look at the draft stories before the draft started, and now all I get to see is Demetrius McCoy won the All-Star MVP. I don't know who won the Heisman or anything like that. Nice. And with the first pick in the NFL draft, the Jacksonville Jaguars will probably take the best available quarterback on the board. And they do. They take Connor Ritchie out of Notre Dame. Gotta love EA's logic, it's great. With the second pick, the Detroit Lions will take defensive back James Ingram out of Colorado State. So with the third pick, the Texans take a defensive end. With the fourth pick, the Jets take Darren O'Neal, quarterback out of Oklahoma State. So they are moving on from Zach Wilson, apparently. Pick 5, Oscar Stockton, wide receiver, Virginia Tech, to the Giants. The Panthers take quarterback Caleb Dobson. See, that's the first team to make sense to take a quarterback. The Giants are taking quarterback Andrew Claxton. They make sense to take a QB if they're ready to move on from Daniel Jones. Pick 8 is left outside linebacker Dion Lewis to the Falcons. Pick 9, quarterback Adrian Daniels to the Broncos. I think they just signed Jameis, so I guess he'll compete for the starting job. Pick 10 is Brian Beverly, defensive back out of Michigan State, to the Jets. Washington takes Ed Gallery, defensive end out of Missouri. The Vikings take defensive back Gerald Hurst, defensive back out of Texas Tech. The Browns take Jose Jones, defensive tackle, Stanford. And then the Ravens, right before us, take left end Martin Hayward out of Penn State. And this is one part that sucks about starting after the Super Bowl, is you don't really get to pick what you scouted, and we know almost nothing about most of these guys. That's gonna make this job a little bit harder. And I think I've decided with pick 15 here in the first round, we're gonna take middle linebacker Daryl Shaw. He is the highest rated linebacker, or middle linebacker, left here. I think he's actually the highest rated linebacker in general right now. Ran a 4.53 40. And what we know about him is he has D injury, but he has C-man, B tackle, D zone. He can't really cover people, but he can at least tackle. And he's decently fast. So we're going to take Daryl Shaw, and he has a hidden dev trait. That is amazing. And pick 16, we're actually going to trade to Miami to get a first-round pick, a third-round pick, and a sixth-round pick, all for next year. Because yes, we had 3 first-round picks this year, but also, like I said, we're drafting blind. I would rather have an extra pick for next year. We already kind of sort of hit with the middle linebacker being a hidden dev trait, and then they take Carl Solomon, who I wasn't going to take anyway, because we kind of rebuilt our secondary in free agency. I was kind of looking at Doug Blatchford at pick 19, but I guess the Chargers decided to take him. And then Alex Bennett goes to New Orleans. And with pick 19 here in the first round, we are going to take wide receiver Demetrius McCoy. Ran a 4.38 40. He's 6 foot, 198. But we know he has A catching, C release, C spin move, and C injury. So we're going to take McCoy and C. He is a normal dev trait with 92 speed, 91 acceleration. We'll have to see what his other ratings actually are, though. And with pick 19 here in the second round, I'm looking at linebacker Derek Dunlap. His acceleration is labeled as elite. His speed is good. He ran a 4.75. And all I know about him is he has B catching, D finesse move, D impact block, and C pursuit. Don't really know a lot about him. I'm hoping he can block shed really well. He is also a hidden dev trait, though. And with pick 19 here in the third round, I am looking at center Thad Ellington out of Mississippi State. He benched rep 33 at the combine and then 32 at his pro day. That's good for second and third in centers, respectively. A impact block, A injury, A stamina, B pass block power. We're going to take Thad Ellington. And with our fourth round pick, I'm looking at Steven Donaldson, a right tackle out of Temple. He doesn't have terrific strength. It says strength is solid, but he's got B impact block, C run block finesse. I feel like it's not bad for a fourth round pick. And with pick 11 here in the fifth round, I'm going to take right outside linebacker Saquon Curry. He's got solid speed, good acceleration, but what we know about him is he's got B pursuit and C tackle. And I'm going to trade the 19th pick here in the fifth round to the Falcons to get a fourth rounder for next year. And then I'm also going to trade pick 23 here in the fifth round to the 49ers to get their fourth round pick for next year. And here in the sixth round, I'm looking at wide receiver Amani Robinson, who is 6'5". It actually says he fits for us. Runs a 4.55 40, and we really know not much about him. F juke move, C injury, D spin move, C spectacular catch. That's all I got for him. We're going to take him, and let's see, 87 speed and 6'5" is not bad. And with the 27th pick of the sixth round, this will be our last draft pick. Left tackle Donnell Hicks. He is second in terms of strength for left tackles and first during the pro days. And he's got C run block power, C awareness, B lead block, and B run block power. So I don't know how bad he's going to be, but I like some of those ratings. All right, let's check out our draft class. First pick, we had Daryl Shaw. You will not be wearing number 20 on this team, I promise you that. 87 speed, 80 tackles, 73 block shedding, 72 play rec, and a hidden dev trait. I'm cool with that pick. And then we got Demetrius McCoy, wide receiver out of Florida State with 92 speed. He cannot run a deep route at all, but he's good at short route and medium routes. Okay at catching in traffic with a 76. And a normal dev trait. You also will not be wearing number 12. Why are y'all trying to wear retired numbers? Okay, well that's a little rough. Derek Dunlap is a 61 overall. He was our second round pick. He does have a hidden dev trait, but 61? That is rough. And looking at the rest of our class, Thad Ellington is a 70. Steven Donaldson's a 62, so he was not a great pick. Saquon Curry is a 66. Amani Robinson's a 60, and Donnell Hicks is a 66. Let's see how our division rivals did, starting with the Giants. Oscar Stockton, wide receiver, that they took as an 80 overall with a hidden dev trait. Then the quarterback they took at pick 7 is a 69 overall. I guess he's a base 72. He has -3 morale right now, but he also has a hidden dev trait, so they seem to have hit on their first 2 picks. They then got a 76 overall corner in the second round and a 73 overall linebacker in the third. The Giants kind of killed this draft, at least in the first 3 rounds. That's an amazing haul for them. Dallas got a 74 overall middle linebacker in the first round. Is he a hidden dev trait? He is. Okay, so they got a 74 overall hidden dev trait, middle linebacker in the first round, and then they also got a 70 overall receiver in the late 5th round. Washington didn't do too bad either. They missed on their second round pick, but their first round pick is a 74 overall, normal dev trait, so not as good as the other 2, but they got a 70 overall left outside linebacker in the 3rd round with a normal dev trait, and they got LeBrian Aldridge, a running back out of Missouri, a 72 overall with a hidden dev trait. What are his ratings? 89 speed, 82 break tackle. Okay, he's decent. The top players in the draft were James Ingram and Oscar Stockton. Ingram is the defensive back the Lions took 2nd overall. And I am curious where that quarterback is. What is the highest rated QB? We will work our way up here. The first quarterback taken off the board was Connor Ritchie, who is a 72 overall with a hidden dev trait. He will not be starting over Trevor Lawrence. I think Trevor Lawrence is a 76. Caleb Dobson is a 71. The Jets took a 69 overall quarterback when there was a 76 overall quarterback on the board with a hidden dev trait. So Adrian Daniels is probably going to end up being pretty good for the Broncos. And then past that, none of these other quarterbacks really were anything special. Alright, I simulated the whole preseason, so now we will jump into the regular season, and let's set our season goal. We are going to say 7 wins this year. We can't get fired anyway as long as I don't click the scenario that turns off coach firing, so. Okay, going into week 1, we have a few injuries. The main one being Miles Sanders has a fractured shoulder blade. So, we're going to have to place Miles Sanders on IR because he's going to miss 14 weeks, and now we need to go find a running back. That is ridiculous. Brandon Graham should be back in a couple weeks. Isaac Samalu should be back in a couple weeks. Teron Jackson will get Jabril Peppers back in a couple weeks off of his ACL tear, and then Steven Donaldson, who apparently broke his foot in the preseason, is missing 4 weeks. And with Miles Sanders getting moved to IR, I have signed running back Cordarrelle Patterson, so he will be our starting running back this year. Before we simulate week 1, let's go over the depth chart going into this season. Quarterback is Jalen Hurts. Running back is Cordarrelle Patterson. At wide receiver, we have Devontae Smith, DJ Chark, and Quez Watkins. Demetrius McCoy, you are going to be our 3rd receiver. Tight end is Dallas Goedert. Left tackle is Jordan Mailata. Left guard is Landon Dickerson. Center is Jason Kelsey. Right guard is a healthy Brandon Brooks. Right tackle is Lane Johnson. Left end is Cameron Malvo. That is not what we are doing. Left end will be Milton Williams until Brandon Graham is healthy. Right end is Josh Sweat. Defensive tackle Fletcher Cox and Javon Hargrave. Left outside linebacker Keanu Neal. Middle linebacker TJ Edwards. Actually, no, that's going to be Darryl Shaw, so he gets the playing time he needs. Right outside linebacker is Obo. Defensive back Darius Slay, Dante Jackson, and Avonte Maddox. Free safety is Marcus Williams. And strong safety as of right now is Kayvon Wallace, but when Peppers comes back, he will start. I'm not going to look at every game's stats, but we'll go through and you'll see every score at least. But for this one, we're going to check the stats. We win 35-21 in week 1 against the Cardinals. And let's see how our quarterback did. Jalen Hurts goes 30 of 44, 328 yards, 2 touchdowns, and a pick. Gardner Minshew came in and threw a touchdown for some reason. Rushing wise, Cordarrelle Patterson, 16 for 56 and 2 scores. Receiving wise, Devontae Smith, 7 for 91 and a score, and DJ Chark, 8 for 83 and a score. And what did our rookie do? 2 for 23. Okay, well, not horrible, I guess. This is the weirdest stat line I've ever seen for a quarterback like Kyler Murray. 17 of 24, only 134 yards, but 3 touchdowns. Rushing wise, James Conner goes 12 for 62, Murray goes 8 for 28, and receiving wise, DeAndre Hopkins 5 for 54 and 2 scores. Alright, we jump to week 6, and right now we are 3-2. We managed to dominate the Washington football team. Jalen Hurts had one hell of a day. 22 of 34, 269 yards, and 4 touchdowns. Mariota went horrible for 3 interceptions. And then we proceeded to drop the next 2 games against the Saints and the Bears, but then we got our shit together and beat Jacksonville. We are now at our bye week in week 8, and the last 2 games we lost to the Titans, 28-34. Looks like we lost this one in overtime. Jalen Hurts throws 2 interceptions, and then in the very next game, we lose to the, at the time, like 1-5 Detroit Lions. I did not look at the first mock draft, but let's go ahead and take a look at the second one. As of right now, the Ravens are expected to have the number 1 pick and take a quarterback. The Dolphins are also expected to take a quarterback. We should have 2 first-round picks here. And we have pick 17 right now, a right end, and the other one is a running back. All right. At your last update, we were in the bye week coming off 2 straight losses. Well, we would come out of the bye week and immediately lose to the Giants and the Packers, but then we'd take down the Texans and the Steelers. As of right now, we are the 32nd ranked offense and the 7th ranked defense. So really looking like the next offseason, it's going to be an offensive focus. And we do have Daryl Shaw's dev trait. He is a star dev trait. I think we figured that out a few weeks ago. I just didn't show it. Another quick update for you guys. We lost to the Vikings 11-34, but then we beat the Giants 31-28. But as of right now, the NFC East is still anybody's game. Washington's only 8-5 and everyone else is 6-7, so we can theoretically still win the division. I will probably show the results of the next few games just because they are so crucial to the playoffs right now. We take down the division leader, so they fall to 8-6 and we go to 7-7. Our next opponent is the 7-7 Cowboys. Jalen Hurts goes 22 of 27 for 242 and 2 scores. Mariota has a better day than the last time we played them. And then we lose to the Dallas Cowboys 24-14, so we fall to 3rd in the division, and them and Washington are both tied at 8-7. And if we want a shot at the playoffs, this will be a must-win game against Indianapolis, so let's see if we can get it done. And we managed to take down Carson Wentz and the Colts. Let's see what these stats were for today. Carson Wentz goes 13 of 24 for 147 and 2 touchdowns. Jalen Hurts 23 of 32 for 267, 1 touchdown and 1 interception. It comes down to this game. If we can beat Dallas, we will head to the playoffs because we, I believe, own the tiebreaker over Washington because we beat them twice. And we take down the Dallas Cowboys, winning the division somehow, with Jalen Hurts going 19 of 34 for 223 yards, 2 touchdowns, and 2 interceptions, while Dak Prescott came in and threw 4 picks. We get into the playoffs with the 30th ranked offense and the 6th ranked defense. And our first season will continue as we take down the Panthers 37-20. Jalen Hurts goes 28 of 43 for 321 and 2 scores. Caleb Dobson, as a rookie, led the Panthers to 10-7 and the playoffs. Goes 21 of 39 for 280 yards and a touchdown. I realized I did not show the whole playoff bracket before that game, so here you go. You can see everyone that made the playoffs. Our next opponent is the Arizona Cardinals, who we've already beaten once this season. And our Cinderella story will continue as we take down the Cardinals 41-20. Jalen Hurts throws for 389 yards and 2 touchdowns, and Kenneth Gainwell manages to run for 3. Over in the AFC side, it is the Raiders against the Chiefs, and obviously we are taking on the Bears, and we get a home playoff game because the Bears are the 6th seed. And in season 1 of this 5-year challenge, we are headed to the Super Bowl. I did not expect this. Jalen Hurts throws for 295 yards and 3 touchdowns as Justin Fields throws 3 interceptions. Rushing-wise, Cordero Patterson runs for 2 touchdowns. So we will take on the Chiefs in the Super Bowl and face our former head coach, Andy Reid. And in the first season of this challenge, we somehow managed to win the Super Bowl while going 9-8. Guess we just caught fire at the right time. I honestly did not expect this to happen. So yeah, I guess that's how the first 5-year challenge is gonna go. If I do any more, hopefully it extends a little past the first season. But we managed to win the Super Bowl in the first episode of this, which is just ridiculous. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this, and I will talk to you guys next time.